Ciao famiglia, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm actually so excited because I'm going to do a tutorial on how to squat. So I'm going to go everything from, I'm going to go through everything from stretching, how to squat for your particular physique, for your genetics, and we're going to look into squat stances, whether you should wear a belt and when you should wear a belt or not, why your back might be hurting, what your knees might be hurting, everything, literally everything you need to know about squatting and whether squatting is actually for you and whether it's that effective for the bunda. Okay, so before we start, as always, you guys, don't forget to like and subscribe because it really makes me happy, and I try my best to share all my knowledge and content with you to help you out. So I'd really appreciate if you could subscribe to my channel so that you never miss any content from me as well. Well, that being said, let's get straight into the video now. So what I'm going to start with, some stretches. And before you do anything or say anything, dynamic stretching and working on your mobility is key when you're squatting. And I'll tell you why. A couple of, say 3 months ago, I was squatting and I was just going straight into squatting. I was doing maybe a little bit of glute activation, but nothing like mobility wise that would look after my joint. You know what happened? As I was going heavier and heavier, I almost hurt my hips. My hips felt really stiff and I couldn't squat below parallel for a while, okay? So if you instead prepare yourself and you do these stretches, you limit injuries and you also avoid wear and tear with your joints. It's really important to prep before you squat. You need to make sure that you're ready. You don't have to do much, just a couple of minutes of this and you'll be fine, okay? So that being said, follow me and I'll show you my favorite stretches. Mat acquired. Next thing that we need to acquire is a resistance band. And listen, when you do the stretches, I want you to get a resistance band that is thick enough because there is different resistance bands. Let me show you as well. When you're doing this kind of mobility stretches, I want you to pick a resistance band that is long, but it's also thicker. You see the difference between these ones? Okay, see how much thinner this is? And this will not be as effective. I want you to choose something that is thick enough. I would say 2 inches, something like that, that is thick and strong, okay? Just because you work better for what we are gonna do, okay? So, first thing I want you to work on, we are preparing for a squat. So what are the joints that we're gonna use the most during a squat? First thing is hips, okay? And ankles, okay? If you work on these, your range of motion will be better, and as well, you'll avoid wear and tear, you'll avoid getting injured, and also your squats will feel better as well, okay? So that being said, I want you to find a stable surface, okay? Something that will sustain your weight. I'm going to use this. I'm just going to tie the resistance band. I suppose you can use the squat rack as well, you know, like to do this. So anything that is stable, that you can find stable enough at the gym. I'm using this just because the gym is busy, so just for convenience. So I want you to tie it up. I want you to get in the loop, okay, and get this just where your hip joint is, specifically here, okay? Then I want you to distance yourself from here and get into a lunge position, okay? And I want you to get as far as possible so that you feel a sort of resistance, okay? Because if you're too close, this is not doing anything. So you want to feel the pulling from the resistance band, okay? So that being said, I want you to slightly tilt from here till here, okay? So slightly tilted. So I want you to slightly lean, kind of incline. So rather than standing like this vertically, slightly inclined, okay? And then next thing I want you to do, I want you to slightly lean forward, okay? Hold, and then get on your knees and push your leg out, okay? When you push your leg out, I want you to squeeze your glute as much as you can. So squeeze, and then relax and lean forward. And then again, squeeze. And then lean forward again and relax. Squeeze again, squeeze. And then again, I want you to do about 10 reps on each leg. That's it, just one set. So next stretch, I've showed you before this. So I'm gonna go over it very quickly because I've already showed you this. Very good hip opener this, okay? So I want you to lunge sideways, basically. So get into an external rotation position, get a kettlebell, and lean on the side of your body. You pause for 1 to probably 3 seconds, and then get back. You really feel this pulling. Now, if this hurts, it means your hips are really tight, so I want you to bring your feet closer. Sorry, actually I have my foot like that. They need to be like literally pointed that way, okay? So you can bring it a little bit closer. Oh, I can really feel this one. So do about 10 reps as well, just one set. Same thing on the other side. Oh, it actually feels so good. It's a really nice stretch, this. Okay, so next little thing is a little stretch that I like to do for my ankles. As I said before, your ankles will also be really engaged during the deep squat, okay? So it's good to have really good mobility. When I grab a plate, okay? What I'll do, I'll get into a deep squat position. I'll get into a deep squat position, okay, like so. Okay, I want you to rotate the whole torso, making sure here that the thing that needs to be key is the plant of your foot needs to be planted on your floor the whole time. Because I see a lot of people when they do it, they lift their foot and that kind of defeats the whole purpose. So make sure your feet are always on the floor, okay? So I want you to shift the whole body weight and you feel a little bit of pulling here, the front of your ankle and also calf as well. So 3 seconds, pause, okay, return to the position. The other side as well. You really feel your calf stretching then. Again, really nice and easy. 5 to 10 reps on each side. It'll do, okay? Nice and easy. So that's it with the stretching. As I said, you don't really have to spend a lot of time stretching. This will do, honestly. It'll prepare you as well for squats. Next thing that is really key is your squat stance. We talked about a little bit about this the other day in my previous videos when I showed you this. But why is your squat stance important? Just because, first of all, everybody, okay, is different. So my way of squatting might be different from yours, okay? So some people might find a narrow stance working more than a wide stance, okay? So you need to go with what feels more natural to you. So the easiest way to just try it is just simply by trying and seeing what feels more comfortable indeed. So there's different foot stances. There is a narrow stance. You want to try and squatting and see how that feels. That doesn't feel great for me, for example. Then I try same stance, but my feet slightly rotated outward. Try again, a little bit better. Slightly wider stance, okay? Feet pointing, facing forward. That feels really good for me. And then again, pointing outward. Really, really good. So between these, I prefer the one that is wider with my feet pointing, facing forward. That's just what works best for me. It feels more natural to me when I'm squatting. So I want you to test out these different ones and see first of all what stance works more for you. Just because this works for me best doesn't mean that it will work for you, okay? You need to understand how to work with your body, understand your body more, okay? That's key when it comes to training. Then, another thing, I'm going to talk about a little myth here. When we're squatting, we're taught to squat ass to grass. What is ass to grass? Basically as low as possible. You want to be able to go below parallel, okay? But look what's happening here while I'm squatting ass to grass. So, as you can see, my spine is really rounding up, okay? That is called the butt wing, okay? So, ways to avoid the butt wing is by stretching, so improving your mobility. So by doing those stretches that I gave you before, you'll be able to work on your mobility and have a little bit less of a rounding up of your spine. However, some people are simply not made to genetically squat ass to grass. So, especially for beginners, I actually recommend just not going below parallel at the beginning. Just to get used to the movement, make sure you work on getting your balance right first, So for me, for example, I just prefer just going just below parallel. It's still slightly below parallel, but it's not as to grass at all, just because for me it doesn't work. I'll butt wing, as you see. That's my genetics does not allow me to do that, okay? This is as low as I can go, okay? Can't go any lower because see what happens? I start butt winking as soon as I go any lower, okay? So that is my height. That's how far I can go, okay? Obviously, if you can work on your mobility, as I said, you can improve that, but that's at the moment all I can do for me now. I don't want to have any lower back pains, which actually takes to lower back pains. Why do people get lower back problems or lower back pain when they're squatting? One reason is this, squatting as to grass. You don't have to actually go that low. And also as well, another common mistake is when people actually, when they're squatting, what they tend to do is they raise the hips before raising the chest. So hips and chest should come high at the same time. It should come up at the same time. Let me just show you what I mean. So if I'm in a squat position like that, and I bring my hips up first, you see what's happening here? That is the kind of movement that I'm gonna have, okay? This is gonna put a lot of pressure to my lower back. Instead, what you need to do is trying to get your hips and chest going up at the same time. So rather than going like this, okay, you wanna go like this. Okay, you see how the movement is much smoother. That's how you will avoid more back pain as well. Now, another myth that I get is that people always taught to squeeze at the top when you're squatting. That is another reason why you might get lower back pain. Because again, so what you need to know is that when you're squatting, you want to keep your spine as neutral as possible. So your back should be straight. The reason why I say straight is because our back naturally has an S curvature. So it's never going to be straight, but you get what I mean. So let's say I'm squatting now, okay? Squatting down, then I'm coming up and I'm squeezing, okay? See what's happening here? My spine is slightly rounding, okay? I'm overextending my spine. And this will lead me, the more I start doing this, the more I start squeezing, especially with a big weight, that'll add a lot of pressure to my spine. So just forget about the squeeze at the top. It's not as important. The peak of the movement is actually when you go down, when the muscle stretches, okay? That is the most important part of the movement itself. It's not when you squeeze at the top, but it's when you stretch. So again, that's how I would do my squat. So let's go over all the points again, just to sum up. First of all, first thing I want you to do, stretch, okay? Make sure you stretch, work on mobility. Next thing, I want you to work out your stance, okay? Foot stance for me, slightly wider than hip width apart, okay? Slightly wider. Next thing, go as low as I feel comfortable to, okay? Second thing, when I go up, I don't bring my hips up first. It's a smooth movement with my hips and chest. So up, and I don't squeeze, I stop here. I'll show you from this side as well, from the side so you can see what I mean. So go down, that's it, I can't go any lower, up. Okay, as simple as it is. I don't squeeze. Remember, if I squeeze, this is what's happening with my spine. Now, that being said, I'm going to take you downstairs to the squat rack and I'll show you other tips to improve your squats. Let's go. Okay, so Smith machine. If you're a beginner, I want you to start from the Smith machine. The reason why, I know that a lot of people obviously will find the squat rack more intimidating. The reason why I always suggest to start with the Smith machine is because beginners will normally struggle with balance when they're squatting. So it's like when you squat, you feel like you're almost losing balance, or you feel like you're about to fall over or something. So you'll just tend to lean forward a lot when you're a beginner and you don't really know how to squat. The way to fix this is by using a Smith machine. Just because you can lean on the Smith machine, so you're not feeling like you're losing balance. You will never fall, because even if I do this, the Smith machine will always have me. So that's why I always recommend beginners to start getting adjusted to when they're starting to start with Smith machine squats, and then eventually move to graduate to the squat rack. So very nice and simple. Same concept that we spoke about First thing I want you to do, I want you to work with your stance, okay? Work your stance, whatever you prefer, a narrow or wider stance, okay? Go down, that's how far I can go, and then up. No squeezing, and down again, and then up. So you don't have to really go extra low when you're a beginner, I don't want you. Just work on a comfortable depth, okay? Oh shit, and that's it. Key thing when you're squatting, really important. When you're a beginner especially, a very common thing to do when you're squatting is that your knees will tend to cave in. That's what will happen. It's normal, okay, at the beginning. Just make sure you always remind yourself to keep them out the whole time, okay? Being said, let's move into the squat rack. I know that you see me, if you watched my previous workouts, wearing a belt. And I wanted to talk about when it's the correct time to use it. And a lot of people think that because they're wearing a belt, they'll have less lower back pain. The belt is gonna save your back, okay? That's not gonna help you at all. And if anything, what the belt does, basically, when you put it around your waist, it deactivates your core. And that can be dangerous just because, not dangerous, but you want to engage your core as well when you're doing a squat. It's a compound movement, so it means that you're targeting a lot of multiple muscles at once. So you'll be targeting a lot to your core too. If you put this around, your core will get deactivated, okay? So basically, you don't want to do that. You always want to make sure that you work on your core as well when you do these staple lifts. So the way to actually get your spine, so ditch the belt, okay? The way you work on your spine, you make sure you don't get lower back problems, is by working on your core stability and your breathing. If you're breathing correctly, you won't need any belt at all, okay? So I've already gone through breathing. I've got a reel, a tutorial on my Instagram as well, and I've gone over in my past workouts too. But the way you breathe correctly so that you're more stable and you'll have less lower back pain during a squat is by basically breathing through here. So you see it's called the diaphragmatic breathing, okay? You want to make sure that you fill out your midsection with air as much as possible. So it's not going to look pretty because you have to fill this area of your midsection, okay? And then exhale once you come up. What will happen, your core will be filled up with air and it will be more stable. You won't tend to use your lower back as much. So if you fix your breathing, if you breathe correctly, you won't need any belt. I recommend using a belt when you go really, really heavy. So this is usually for power lifters when they lift like a really heavy weight, like 100 kilos. I usually start to wear it from 80 kilos onward. I've used it in the past. I'm not gonna lie, for when I was using less weight, and that was wrong. I shouldn't have used it, okay? Because I was deactivating my core a lot. So you don't have to use a belt unless you go really, really, really heavy, okay? Now, that being said, once you got your breathing correctly, if you're just graduating from the Smith machine to a squat, you can use a bench and you can use a box squat so that you have more of a support. But if you want to go straight onto the squat like in depth and work on your depth as well, you can just start with the bar, okay? Or obviously you can add more weight if you're more advanced as well. But for just demonstration purpose, I'm just going to use it with the bar only. So next thing I want you to know is the bar positioning, whether you put it high bar, okay, or low bar, okay? So you could put it either over here or over here. Again, there is not what's best here, which one is best, is whatever feels right to you. The only difference is that if you use a high bar squat, which is what I prefer normally, okay, that works for me. That doesn't mean it's better, it's just what works for me, okay? So what I want to do is I want to keep my chest more upright, okay? Squat and up. If you want to squat with a low bar, meaning you're putting the bar lower down, which for me doesn't feel natural, so I struggle a little bit more, you actually want to lean slightly more forward, okay? And that will tend to activate more your lower back. So if you have lower back problems, I wouldn't recommend doing a low bar and preferring a high bar instead on top of your traps, if you make sense. And be ready to squat. Simple as that, guys. So these are the main things really when it comes to squatting. I covered the main things, but it's all about really practicing. Now, if you apply all these tips and squats don't feel right for you, you don't have to squat. There is not like one exercise that will magically grow your glutes, okay? It's a combination of different compound exercises along with the good nutrition that will help you build your glutes. It's not just if you don't squat that you're not gonna build your glutes. That's not how it works, okay? So if the squats don't feel right for you, by any means, don't do them, okay? You can do split squats, for example. You can focus on RDLs, hip thrust more. That's what you can do, or do leg press. You can do other variations. If something doesn't feel right for you, you don't have to do it, okay? It's not a either ride or die, okay? That being said, as well, if you want me to help you out with your technique, with your form, I do one-to-one personalized online coaching where you work basically one-to-one with me. You can speak to me every day if you want to. I send you a personalized plan, workout plan and meal plan at the same time. Link in the description below if you want to start online coaching with me. That being said, I hope you found this video useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you very soon with another video.